Hi everyone, Anshita this side. Welcome back to ABAutomationHub. In today's video, we are going to learn another important concept in Python, which is list. So this is lecture 6, and today we are going to cover all these mentioned topics. We are going to see what is list, how to create list, how to access, add and remove elements in a list. Then we will learn about some most commonly used list methods. We will also learn what is slicing concept in list. And in the end, we are going to solve some practice questions. Let's get started. So here I will create a file and I will name it as list.py. So what is list in Python? So let's understand with the definition. So list is a data structure which is ordered, mutable, and can contain elements of different data types. So let's write over here. So this is the definition of list in Python. A list is a collection of items that is ordered, mutable, and can contain elements of different data types. Now let's understand all of these one by one. So what does ordered mean? Ordered means the element in the list maintains the order in which they were added. So each element has a specific position, or you can say specific index, and the index starts from 0. And what does mutable means? Mutable means you can change it. As we have learned about strings in the one of the previous session, string is immutable. That means it cannot be changed. But list, it is mutable. That is, you can change the list. And the third point is you can contain elements of different data types with list. Now let's understand all of these with the examples. So you can define the list in Python using the square brackets. So let's take one example. Let's create a list with the name. So this is how you are going to create a list. So I will pass some name over here. For example, Alex, Tom, and Shreya. So this is our list. How you can create a list using the square brackets. So now let's print this one. So I will write over here print function and then I will pass the name of the list. So this is how you print a list. So let's run this one. So in the output, you see, this is getting printed. So this is how you can create a list in Python. Now the next concept is, as we have written over here, list can contain elements of different data types. So what does it mean? Let's create one more list and name it as mixed. So in this, I will pass integer, I will pass string, I will pass boolean over here. Let's also pass one floating value, and even you can also pass another list like this. This is also a list. So list can also contain elements of the different data types. Fine, we can see over here, these are all different data types. So if we print this one, so now let's run this case. So you see, it is getting printed. So this is valid in Python. You can create a list with the different data types. Now moving on to the next section, which is how you can access the element from the list. So let's write over here. As we have learned this in the string sessions about the indexing concept, same concept can be used in the list also. And here also we will use the concept of indexing. So in indexing, it means the index starts from 0. If you try to fetch the 0th position of mixed list, it will print 1. Let's see one example over here. So let's print and we will write over here mixed. And here what you have to do, you have to pass the brackets like this, and inside that you need to pass the index. For example, we want to print first index. I will pass 0 here. And if we run this case, 1 is getting printed. In case you want to print this floating value, so this is at which index? This is at 0, 1, 2, and third index, index number 3. So let's write over here index 3. And if we run it again, now it is printing the floating value. And in case you want to get this list from here, so what you will do, you will pass the index as 4. So let's pass 4. And here we can see it is returning us this list. And in strings, when we were learning strings, we also learned about the negative indexing. So what does negative indexing means? Negative indexing means it starts from the end, right? If we pass -1 over here, it will return you this list. Now let's see one example for this case. For example, over here, if we pass -1 and if we run this one, you see it is again printing that list. Now in case we pass -3 over here, so in this case, it will print this Boolean value, which is false. Now let's run it. This is printing false. So negative indexing is also possible in case of list. Now let's see the other concept. When we said, so as we mentioned over here, this is mutable. Mutable means you can change the value. So let's see the example for this one. For example, we have a list over here and this is a numbers list. So let me pass the numbers 10, 12, 99 and 100. So let's print this one. So we are printing over here before numbers. If we run this one, so this is printing before message and our numbers list. Now, let's say you want to change the second value from here. So what you will do for that, we have to do numbers, square brackets, and the index. So index of 12 is 1, right? It starts from 0, then this is 1. And let's change it to 15. Okay. And if we print it again, let's pass message as after. And if we run it again, so here you see, before and after, you can see the difference. You can see the list is getting updated. That means you can change the elements in list. It is mutable. It's very important concept. You should know from the interview perspective also. They can ask you, it is mutable or not. So list is mutable in Python. Now we are moving to the next concept, which is slicing. So what does slicing mean? Slicing means extracting the some portion of that list. Fine. So this is again similar to what we learned in the string session. So similar to that, here also we can apply the concept of slicing. Fine. So this is the definition. It means accessing a portion or a subset of a list. And what is the syntax for this? Here also index is not included. So this is again similar to string slicing, what we have already learned in the previous session. Now let's see one example for this one. For example, we have a list of cities. So this is a cities list. And in this case, if you want to fetch the list from index 0 to index 2, in that case, what we will do? We will write over here cities, and in slicing, like I said, you have to pass the starting index. So we want to fetch from 0 to 2, right? I will write over here 0, and then you want to fetch till 2. So in that case, what we will say? We will say 3. Why? Because last one is not included, right? That's why we add the last value. We want till 2, we have to pass +1. Now, if we print this case, so it should return us Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Let's run this one. And you see over here, this is Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. Now, let's see one more example here. So in case we are not providing the last index, so what it will do, it will print all the elements in that list, right? It will start from the starting index, which is 0. So here we have mentioned 0, and then it will go till end. Fine. For example, let's change the index. Here we are starting from 2. So it will start from 2, which is Bangalore, and then it will go till end, which is Pune. So if we run this one, so here you can see it is printing Bangalore and Pune. And similarly, it will handle for starting index as well. So for example, I'm not passing anything as my starting string, and in the ending string, I'm saying this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So I will pass 4 over here. Fine. So what it will do, it will print all the values in the list. Now, if I run this case, it is printing the whole value. And in case you want to print the whole list, what you can do, in this case, you can ignore both starting index and the ending index. So if we run this case, now it will print the whole list. So this is how you can apply the concept of slicing in Python. It's very easy, very simple. So slicing just means accessing a portion of the list. Now the next concept is length function. What does it do? It returns the length of the list. So let's take the same example and let's write over here print, and let's use the length function. And in the length function, you need to pass the list name. So our list name is cities. It will return you the length of this list. So let's run this one. So you see, the length of the list is 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. It contains 4 elements. So length and indexing both are different concepts. Indexing starts from 0, but length returns you how many elements are there. Now moving on to the topic, which is some important list methods. So I have prepared a cheat sheet. So these are some of the important Python list methods which we will learn today. So let's start from the first one, which is append. Append means it will add the items to the end. So whatever value you are passing inside the append method, it will add that item to the end of the list. Next one is insert. In insert, you have to provide position and the element. So first thing is position. So I is your position, or you can say index, and X is your element. Now moving on to the next one, this is remove. So remove basically removes the first occurrence of this element. So whatever element you are going to pass inside the remove method, it will remove the first occurrence of that element. Next one is pop. So pop basically it removes and then returns the last item. Then we have pop I. It removes and returns element at that particular index. Got it? Next one is clear. So clear basically remove all the elements from the list. Now next one is index. Index means it will return the index of first occurrence of X. Next one is count. So what does count do? Count basically returns you how many times that particular element appears. Next one is the sort. Sort, by name only we can understand, sort basically returns the list in an ascending order. We have reverse also. So reverse basically reverse the list. Then we have copy in case you want to store a copy or create a duplicate of the list. In that case, you will use copy method. And in the end, we have extend. Extend means adding the element from the another list. There are many list methods in Python, but these are some of the common ones. Now let's see some practical examples for each of them. So let's start with the append. So append basically adds the item to the end of the list. For example, we have this numbers list, and in case we want to add one element to the end of the list, so what we will do, we will use append over here. So what you have to do, you have to use num dot append, and here you have to pass the element which you want to add. For example, I want to add 40 over here. So now let's print this one, print num, okay? And if we run this case, so here you see 40 is added to the end of the list. So this is how we can use append method in Python. Now moving on to the next method, which is insert method. So insert basically inserts element at that given position. So we will take the same list example, which is num over here, and let's say num dot insert at second position. And what is the value? Let's add 30 over here. Here what it will do, it will insert 30 at position 2. So it will return 11, 99.9, then it will be 30, and then 15 and 20. Why? Because 30 should be at position 2. That's what we have mentioned. This is insert with position 2. Now let's print this one. And if you print it again, run it again, you see 30 got added over here. So 30 is added at position 2. Now let's see the other method, which is remove. So let's write over here, remove. So remove removes the first occurrence of that element. Now what we will do, let's write over here num dot remove, and let's write over here 30. So we are going to remove 30 from this list. Until now we can see 30 is there in the list, right? Now we will remove 30, and if we print it again, print num, and let's run it. Now here you see 30 is removed from the list. So this is how you can remove the element from the list, but it will always remove the first occurrence. For example, let's modify the list over here. Let's also add 30 here. So if we run it again, the second last step, you can see 30 is appearing 2 times in the list. One is at the second position and one is at the second last. Why second last? Because we have already added the element. That's why this is moved to the second last. And when we applied the remove method, so first occurrence of 30 is removed. Second is still there, right? So this is also important. You should know it just removes the first occurrence and not all the occurrence of that element. Now moving on to the next one. So pop, it will remove and it will return the last element. So if we do num dot pop, this is our list, right? In this case, it will return 40. Why 40? Because it will remove 40 and it will also return you the item which is removed. So if we print this one, so here let's print both. Let's print the list and let's print with this case as well, right? Now let's run it. So here you can see this is printing 40 because 40 is removed from the list. And here we are printing the list which does not contain the last element, which is 40. So this is how pop works in list. Now moving on to the next method, which is again pop, but here if you pass the index, it will return the item from that particular index. So let's write over here. Let's write print num.pop, and let's say let's remove. So here we are going to pass an index over here. Let's pass 1. So this is our list, and in this list at index 1, what is the value? 99.9. So here in this case, it will return us 99.9. 9. It will remove 99.9. Here it was removing the last element, right? Here we have passed the index value. That is the reason it will remove the value from the specific index. And let's also print the whole list again. And if we run it again, so you see over here, this is returning us 99.9. This is our index 1. And in the end, when we are printing the list again, it is not printing 99.9, right? Now it does not have 99.9. So this is the difference between pop with the parameter value and without the default pop method. Now moving on to the next method, which is clear method. Like I explained, clear basically removes all the elements from the list. So if we do num.clear, all the elements from the list will be removed in this case. So if we run it, what it will do, it will print an empty list over here. You see, there is nothing in the list. Let's also add some message. Let's added a sample message. So we have added some message over here, and now let's print it again. You see, this is an empty list. Now moving on to the next method, which is the index method. So index method basically returns the index of first occurrence of the element, whichever is passed. Now let's create a fresh list over here. Let's create numbers 1 list. Okay. And here what you will do, we will say numbers 1 dot index. And here in this list, we have 5 at 2 places, at index 0 and at index 2, right? And if we write over here 5, so what it will return? It will return as 0 because it returns the index of first occurrence of the element. And in case we print it, so let's add print function. And if we run it again, it will return as 0 in this case. Fine, you see, it is returning you the index of first occurrence of x. Moving on to the next one, the next method is count. In case you want to get the count of how many times that element is appearing in the list, you have to use the count method. For example, over here, what we will do, we will say, so numbers 1 dot count. And let's say you want to print how many times 5 is appearing, right? If we pass 5 over here, it will return us 2. So the count of 5 in the list is 2, right? And let's print this one. And if we run it, so here you can see it is printing 2. It is returning the count of how many times 5 is appearing in that list. Now moving on to the next one, which is sort. So in order to use sort method, what you have to do, you have to enter your list name over here. So list name is numbers 1 dot sort. So it will return your list in the ascending order. And if we print num1, here you can see this is not in ascending order. So 5, 10, 5, 20, 15, right? 15 should be before 20, right? And 5 should also be moved at the position 2. If we run it again, here you can see this is sorted in an ascending order. So this is our next method, which is reverse. So reverse basically reverse your list. So how to use it? We will say numbers 1 dot reverse. And now if you print this one, this will be reversed. Your list will start from 20 and it will end with 5. So let's run this one. You see, this is how you can reverse your list. Now, the next method is copy method. So copy basically returns the shallow copy of the list. For example, we have the list numbers 1. And in case we want to get one more copy, let's create over here numbers copy. And in this, we will use numbers 1 dot copy method. So what will happen? It will return the copy of the list and it will assign it to this new variable, which is numbers underscore copy. And if we print this numbers copy, it will return is the same list as numbers 1 list. Let's run this one. Now this is our numbers copy list. Let's also add some message here. So if we run it again, you can see this is our copy list. It is a copy of your numbers 1 list. So in case in your program, in your code, you have to create a copy, you can use the copy method over there. Now let's see the last method of the session, which is your extend method. Extend method basically adds elements from the another list. For example, we have 2 lists. One list is numbers 1 and let's create one more list over here and let's name it as extra. Let's pass some value 25 and 99. Now let's say numbers 1 dot extend, and by extend, you have to add elements from another list. Which list you have to add? You have to pass that list name. So our new list name is extra. This is our first list name. This is our second list name. And if you print numbers 1, it will have these two extra values, 25 and 99. So in this case, always remember what is happening with the extra. In second list, it is not doing anything. Only in the first list, it is adding the new elements. And if you run it again, it will be 25 and 99 would be added over here. You see, 25 and 99 are added over here. So this is how you can add all the elements from the another list. Now with this, we have covered the most commonly used methods in list. Now let's see one practice question over here. For example, you have to combine two lists. So what we will do, for example, we have list N1 and we can say 10, 20, 30, and we have one more list N2. Now we want to combine both the lists. So what we will say N3 and then we will use the operator plus N1 plus N2. So what will happen? It will combine both the list. And if we print N3 over here, in this case, it will return the whole list, which will start from 10 and it will end with 100. Now let's run it. This is how you can combine two lists in Python. So yeah, that's all for today's session. Today we learned about the list, how we can access the list, the concept of slicing, and the list is mutable in nature. We also learned some of the most commonly used methods in the list, and we also saw example for each of the different methods in the list. Try to learn it with the practice example so you will understand it better. And if you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching ABAutomation Hub.